Gauteng police have launched a manhunt for various suspects who were involved in a cash and transit robbery and a kidnapping along the N12 yesterday. It's after a bombing that happened near Xavier Road, near the south of Joburg. The Deputy National Police Commissioner, Lieutenant-General Shadrack Sibiya, joins us tonight in studio to talk about what appears to be an increase in cases of cash and transit robberies. A very good evening to you, Deputy Commissioner. Thank you so much for coming in. So, on Friday, between Friday and Thursday, there were 2 cash and transit robberies in KZN. Yesterday, by morning, there was already one on the N12 in Johannesburg. What is going on?
Good evening, Tembekile, and to the viewers at home. As a country, we are also concerned, very much concerned, that this cash and transit seem to be taking over. However, it is important to note that the object of the South African Police Service, of course, is to prevent, combat, and investigate crime. And we are well on our way. We are doing that exactly. We are protecting the inhabitants of this country. We are doing our crime prevention. So we are on our way to make sure that we prevent crime.
But it's not going very well, is it, if in 3 days there's a cash and transit robbery at least every day?
When you look at the past 3 days, those cash and transit that were committed, we have responded very well. We have arrested the suspect in all those cash and transit. We have arrested individuals there. Even
for the one on the N12 yesterday?
The one for the N12, we have identified people, and then we know that we have arrested 4 people in that one, yes.
So it's interesting because we talk about crime prevention, right? And it doesn't seem as though there's much preventing going on if the police action follows after the robbery has been committed. Why can't you get hold of these suspects before they do this?
No, what happened is that our intelligence structures, they are hard at work working, and they do give us information. They do give the necessary information to the relevant departments that must deal with that crime. But unfortunately, you find that the criminals, sometimes they do change their strategies, but we do respond, because even if they do commit that cash and transit, we manage to trace them within the same day, or we at least know who we're looking for.
Is the reality now, though, that given what you're working with, that those who will be arrested are likely to only be arrested after they've committed the crime?
Yes, but when you look at the previous ones where we arrested, especially in Limpopo and in KZN Kwamashu, we arrested them as they were still planning in their safe houses. It's because we received information earlier and much earlier in such a way that we were able to even plan ahead of time.
And you say now you've identified people linked to what happened on the N12 here in Johannesburg yesterday.
Yes.
What is the profile of those people? Who are they?
Well, it's your normal, ordinary criminals that are involved in the cash and transit. We do know them. We've got a list of them. Some of them are repeated offenders. These are the people who've been arrested in many other cases, and they are attending court in other matters. So, unfortunately, we can't keep them in prison, because even if we arrest them, we keep them in prison, they do get bail.
It speaks to a problem in the system, isn't it, where a hardened criminal is able to get out, and while waiting, let's say, for their next appearance, they're able to commit another brazen attack. I mean, when you look at the pictures, if we could pull them up, I'm hoping we have them, of what happened yesterday, you could tell that this was the work of sophisticated criminals who clearly knew what they were doing.
It is indeed so. They are highly sophisticated, but at the same time, we also up our game as the South African Police Service. But just to give you an example, in Bloemfontein, there are those cash and transit suspects who were actually given free bail. Now, it shows you the weakness within the system itself. But as the South African Police Services, we continue to up our game to make sure that we deploy strategies that will make sure that these people are arrested and put behind bars.
Is it the court system that's failing you?
I wouldn't say it's the court system that is failing us, but in general, the system is really not working at some point, because we arrest as the South African Police Services, and they get granted bail. Some of them, you find that they are attending 3 different courts, and they continue to be given bail. But we do arrest as the South African Police Service.
But where does that leave your response then as the police service? Because, yes, you say some are repeat offenders who are granted bail. You mentioned a case, for example, where they were granted free bail. what we're seeing now, for example, is larger groups being involved in these cash and transit heists where you find yourselves looking for 10, 15, perhaps even 20 people in relation to one incident. That means they too are determined to get away with the crime.
The more we arrest them, the more they plan. And the more they plan, the more we also devise some other strategies to make sure that we arrest them. Now, as you can see, we have implemented the high-density operations, including the A wing, in such a way that we are going to be able to respond even much quicker to get to those suspects that are involved in the cash and transit as it happens.
When are you going to get to these ones then involved in the N12 attack yesterday?
We know about them. We know them. Some of them have been traced already, have been arrested, some of them. And I can safely tell you that our intelligence have identified all of them.
How many have been arrested?
I do have the statistics here. I do have the information that I can give.
That's fine. We'll just give the General time to find those numbers for us. What we're showing you, by the way, is what was the scene on the N12 highway here in Gauteng yesterday, as police were once again having to respond to a case where a cash and transit group of criminals had managed to make off with an undisclosed amount of cash. And I was just asking you, General Sibiya, about how many have been arrested, because you say you've identified them all. Some of the reports were saying you're looking for up to 15 or 20 people.
Yeah. In Gauteng, we had multiple CITs, of course. Even there, we were successful in arresting 8 in groups of 4. Mm. And my information tells me that it includes the ones on the N4 and the N12 as well.
And how many are you still looking for?
At this point in time, actually, I'm not allowed to say I'm still looking for so many, because they shouldn't know what we know.
But it appears, General Sibiya, and not perhaps for lack of trying, that your strategies aren't working. I mean, when you look at the numbers, for example, some of the reports say that since January of this year, there have been over 200 of these cash and transit robberies. That speaks to a crisis. Is it not a crisis?
No. Even though we have had so many since January, all I can say is that nationally we've had 43 cases with the arrest of up to 80. And then plus 50 arrests in only 15 cases. So the successes are there. We have arrested them. When you look at the Limpopo one, where even up to 19 were fatally wounded, you go to KwaMashu, 4 fatally wounded. In the Val, 4 of them, we've arrested many of them. As I say, 80 plus 51 arrests in 15 cases. And
is killing them a core part of the strategy? Because in many of these exchanges now, it would appear that officers are very much enforcing the shoot-to-kill principle. No. It's not like killing them is part of the strategy. What happens is that the police do respond to the fire that is actually facing them. And remember, these criminals are brazen to an extent that they are using heavy caliber firearms against the police or anyone who wants to arrest them. So the police responds to the fire, because we do have highly trained officials that respond to this type of... And where are they getting the sophisticated weapons? Where are they getting these guns? Well, to start with, we've got many private securities that are operating. We also have porous borders where the weapons are... Because in most of the arrests, where we will find that there are some of the individuals that are from foreign countries also. Mm-hmm. So it's not everyone who is from inside the country, but you will find that you have a few AK-47s that would either come from Mozambique or Zimbabwe. Mm. Are there people who are involved in these crimes who are former employees of the private security companies that are hired or entrusted with moving this money around the country? Are there former or, in fact, existing members of those companies and the SAPS who are part of these syndicates? It does happen. It does happen, because when you look at the way these people operate, you will realize that they do have inside information. Mm-hmm. They do have inside intel to an extent that whatever they do, they know which van is carrying how much, and then where, even the places where they will hit. So the police can't be everywhere, but we do make sure that we deploy adequately to an extent that even when you look at the high-density operations that we conduct in the stop and searches, all those sensitive areas where we know that they operate, we deploy around those areas. But they will hit us sometimes where we're not expecting. But we do have strategy. We do know the people that are involved, including the strategies that we are playing is that of the air wing and also the drone system, where we have drones now that are monitoring some of these
hotspot areas.
But you're not going to be entirely successful if people within the system are leaking this information, essentially working with criminals from within.
But remember also, within the same criminal groupings, we also have people that are working with the police. So we are successful.
But you don't know the threat level because you don't know how many of the criminals have infiltrated the system and are working from within, let's say, the company that is employed to move money, or even within the SAPS. So you can't fight a problem when you don't know its magnitude.
No. Remember that we have our analysts, we've got the cases that are reported on a daily basis, and then we've got this, as we identify and we analyze the information, we have the list of groupings that we are working on. We know the number of people that are involved, especially these criminals that are involved. We do know the number. We do know the criminal groupings, the syndicates. We also have identified the kingpins that are behind these criminal groupings.
How many kingpins do we have? How many groupings do we know who basically focus on attacking cash vans?
Look, when we talk about the groupings or the individuals, up to so far we've got more than 107 that we know of.
Are these groups or individuals?
Individuals.
Who are involved
who are involved. I mean, I'm taking from the list that we have. Mm-hmm. And to an extent that I can tell you, there's one that happened in Macau yesterday. We are well aware of who's involved, and we are hot on their heels. We are chasing after them, including these ones of the N12. We know them. We are after them. Wherever they are, they do know that they are wanted.
And these 107 people you're aware of, are they all on the outside?
Some of them are attending court cases, but they're no longer attending because they know that we are looking for them. But watch the space. Just give us 2-3 weeks and watch the space.
So this 107 are criminals who are on the outside?
Yeah, these are criminals that we have identified that are, according to the dockets that we have analyzed, these are the people that we are looking for.
Mm-hmm. So if 107 are known to you and they're on the outside, and these are people who you expect will be arrested in, let's say, the coming days, the coming weeks, what about the ones you don't know? Because I would imagine the country has more CIT robbers than 107.
That is why we've got our intelligence structures really doing their best to make sure that we identify them, we know them, and they work with the organized crime together with the DPCI.
What are they looking to establish, though, those intelligence, shall we say, operatives who are working on this issue? What exactly are they seeking out? Are they trying to find gangs, for example, that specialize in this sort of crime?
No. What happens is that we have formed a team that consists of all a multidisciplinary teams that consists of all the specialists that are involved. And they are also aware that they are looking for syndicates that are involved, that are operating within this cash in transit and other related crimes like your ATM bombings in such cases.
The challenge, General Sibiya, is that we're going into December now.
Yes.
And many South Africans are anxious that we're going to see an increase in this sort of crime. Is that what the intelligence is telling you at this stage, that it's going to get much worse as we go into the holidays?
In fact, I don't think it will get much worse because now we've planned around that. We know that this is seasonal. Just before the festive period, they start. And that is why we have already now, from this weekend, we've been sitting together as a team, working on the strategies, deploying some strategies, and looking at more other techniques on how to deal with this cash in transit, but making sure that we deploy for the festive period and making sure that we dismantle them.
What is it about December that leads to an increase in this sort of crime? I mean, money is moved around all year in these vans, and money is put into ATMs, for example, all year round. What is it about the end of the year in particular that causes a spike in these robberies?
Remember that some of these criminals are really not working. They are not employed anywhere. And to an extent that around festive period, this is a time when people are spending. They spend more money, and they know that many of the shops, they make more money. And to an extent that they do know that if there's a lot of money that is being transported to the banks, so this is where they need to intercept and make sure that they rob the money.
And this 107, when do you expect to have arrested all of them?
Like I'm saying, within a period of, in fact, the National Commissioner gave us in less than 3 months, these people must be behind bars.
So by January, they should all be in prison?
They should be behind bars.
So what happens if they're not? How do we hold you accountable to that figure?
We'll come in account. You will get the numbers in terms of how many are behind bars already.
And confidence in the police and their ability to handle these situations. What are you doing to make sure that officers are best prepared when they go into these situations to indeed respond and do so effectively?
If you realize, or if you look at the past operations that we've had, where there was an exchange between the criminals and the police managed to make sure that you can imagine when the police fatally wound up to 19, and they would only shoot at one police official and not even fatally wounding him. But at the same time, all I can say is that when you look at all the other operations where they were fatally shot and no policeman shot. So it tells you that the police are highly trained, highly skilled to deal with this type of criminals.
For your officers also to have more success, you need to clamp down, don't you, on the availability of weapons to these criminals. I mean, if they're able, for example, to blow up a cash and transit vehicle on the highway in broad daylight, it raises questions about where do they get, as you were saying, high-caliber guns. Where do they get the explosives? You said, for example, they're private security companies, etc. But until we've traced each and every flow of these weapons, there will continue to be these dangerous armed people on our streets.
These people are a team. They do have their expert. They will employ an expert who is good in driving, an expert who is good at blowing in terms of an explosive, who know where to put an explosive in such a way that it will explode, but it will just make sure that it opens up a certain portion of a van.
So they're still able to take the money?
Yes. So now what happens is that we do know, because as we work and we identify the role players, we do know where these explosives are coming from. We do know some of these explosives experts that are being employed. Sometimes they even use them interchangeably, where you find that as an expert is being employed by a particular group to go and service them for that particular operation. From there, coming back from that one, this other group will also come and request the same guy to go and assist in a particular matter. Sometimes they will use even people that are known to be good drivers within the taxi industry, but the bottom line is that they identify their people carefully. It does not necessarily mean that these syndicates know one another, they know each other. They don't know each other.
It means they've built an industry where the criminals themselves know who to go to for whatever service.
Yes.
And it comes back to my point earlier about the importance of interception, interrupting or disrupting the flow of their work before what happened on the highway yesterday actually occurs.
What is important here is to break the interconnectedness of the chain. When you look at, for an example, before you can go commit cash in transit, you need to hijack a motor vehicle. You also need a gun. You also need an explosive. But if you make sure that we close the tab, especially when you deal with the explosives, the people who are supplying the explosives, already they're going to struggle to go and blow up a van. But then you also make sure that you do your high-density operations, the stop and search, the roadblocks where they are not going to be able to hijack a motor vehicle, or if ever a motor vehicle has been hijacked, you are able to intercept it and arrest them at the roadblock before they get to a point where they are going to commit cash in transit. So we need to break that chain, the interconnectedness between these three, your van, your weapons that are stolen.
The theft of the vehicles.
The theft of the vehicles leading to the guns, the possession of the guns. So we must be able to continue doing the stop and search, also conducting the search operations.
All right. General Shadrack Sibiya, Deputy National Commissioner for Crime Detection, thank you very much for speaking to us tonight from the SAPS about the issue of cash in transit heists, which appear to be on the increase. Some reports saying that over 200 of these crimes have been committed since the beginning of this year. And in expectation, but though General Sibiya says it's unlikely to happen, that we'll see this worsen as we head to the December holidays.